Hello friends, this is the problem concerned with the concept of break-even analysis. So let us look into the question. A company is manufacturing a product which is sold at rupees 10.5 per unit. The selling price per unit is given as, I'm assuming the selling price per unit is taken as small b. It is given in the question as 10.5 rupees per unit, and the fixed cost of the assets is rupees 50,000. The fixed cost parameter, it is constant and with respect to production level. So it is a parameter which is independent of the production quantity or independent of the production level. So it is given as 50,000 rupees with a variable cost of 6.5 per unit. The variable cost concerned with the product is rupees 6.5 per unit. How many units should be produced to break even? So the first part of the question is we need to find the break even point in terms of quantity or break even point in terms of number of units. The second part of the question is how many units must be produced to earn a profit of 10,000 rupees. So to get a profit of rupees 10,000 with this much fixed cost, this much variable cost and this much selling price, how many parts we need to produce? And the last part of the question, what would be the profit? The profit equal to how much? For a sales volume, of 20,000 units. So let's look into the question one by one. So break even point, we know that in terms of quantity is given by fixed cost divided by contribution per unit, So it is equal to fixed cost, which is the cost of infrastructural facilities, or you can say that fixed cost is the cost of input material or the cost of input labor, right? It is taken as 50,000 divided by contribution per unit. It is given by selling price per unit small b minus variable cost per unit small a. So it is equal to 50,000 divided by 10.5 minus 6.5, it comes around 12,500 units. So this is the break even point where we don't get any profit nor loss, right? At break even point, what happens? The total sales or the total revenue which you get, it becomes equal to fixed cost plus variable cost, right? So let's look into the second part of the question. So to get a profit of 10,000 rupees, how many products we need to produce? So we know that the total sales or total revenue which we get is equal to fixed cost plus variable cost plus profit. So the total sales or revenue for to get 10,000 rupees profit, we need to find out. For one unit, the revenue obtained is 10.5 rupees. For Q unit, suppose it is 10.5 into Q, it is equal to 50,000 plus for producing one unit, the variable cost is 6.5. For Q units, it will become 6.5 into Q plus the profit which we must get is 10,000. So 10.5 Q minus 6.5 Q, it comes around 4 Q. It is equal to 60,000. So Q comes around 15,000 units. Q comes around 15,000 units. So to get a profit of 10,000 rupees, we need to produce 15,000 units. So let us look into the last part of the question, the third part of the question. If we produce 20,000 units, what is the profit? So let's use the same formula. The total sales or the total revenue which we get, it is equal to fixed cost plus variable cost plus profit. So for 1 unit, the sales or the revenue which we get is 10.5. For 20,000 units, it is 10.5 into 20,000. So it is equal to fixed cost, which is a constant parameter. It doesn't depends upon how many products you are producing. It is independent of production level. So it is given as 50,000 plus variable cost. Variable cost is a variable parameter. Variable parameter, it increases. Variable cost increases if you are producing more and more number of products, right? So for 1 unit, it is 6.5, which is given in the question. For 20,000 units, it will become 6.5 into 20,000 plus profit. So if you simplify this one, you will get the profit is equal to 30,000 rupees, right? So this is the first question, and let's look into the next question. So let's go through the data which is given in the question. The data of an industrial unit is as follows. The fixed cost of the asset is 24,000. The variable cost is equal to rupees 64,000. The sales price per unit is taken as rupees 10. Contribution for 8,000 units is given as 16,000 rupees. So what we need to find out? What is the sales volume for break even? So we need to find the break even point in terms of quantity or in terms of number of units, right? And this is the first part of the question. What is the second part of the question? What would be the selling price? The selling price per unit, I'm assuming it as small b. If the break-even quantity, if the break-even point or break-even quantity is brought down to 10,000 units. So let us look at the first part of the question. So the break-even point is given by fixed cost divided by contribution per unit, which is taken as sales price per unit minus variable cost per unit. So this is the formula to get the break-even point in terms of quantity or in terms of number of units. So what is given? The contribution for 8,000 units is equal to rupees 16,000. So the contribution per unit is equal to 16,000 divided by 8,000, which we get as 2 rupees per unit. So substituting the contribution per unit in this formula, so we get it as the fixed cost of the assets is given as 24,000 divided by the selling price per unit is given as 10 rupees. So 10 minus, so sorry, no need to go for this, as we have directly the contribution per unit. We are having directly the contribution per unit. So let us substitute it. So it becomes how much? 24,000 divided by, it becomes 24,000 divided by contribution per unit, it is equal to 2. So it comes around, break even point comes around 12,000 units, right? So we got the break even point as 12,000 unit. Now let's come to the second part of the question. So if the break even point is decreased to 10,000 units, so how much will be the selling price? How much will be the increase in selling price if you want to bring down the break even point from 12,000 to 10,000? So we got contribution per unit is equal to 2 rupees per unit. We know that contribution per unit is sales price per unit minus variable cost per unit. It is equal to 2. So the initial sales price is 10 rupees minus the variable cost per unit A, it is equal to 2. So we get the variable cost per unit as 8 rupees per unit, right? So now the break-even point in terms of number of units, which should be 10,000, it is equal to fixed cost divided by contribution per unit, it is equal to new sales price per unit minus variable cost per unit. So this implies 10,000 is equal to, what is the fixed cost of assets? 24,000, the new sales price B dash minus the variable cost per unit, which we got it as 8. So if we simplify this one, this implies 10,000 B dash minus 80,000, it is equal to 24,000. So B dash will be, it is equal to 1,04,000 divided by 10,000. It comes around 10.4 rupees per unit, right? So if the break-even point is brought down from 12,000 units to 10,000 units, the selling price need to increase from 10 rupees to 10.4 rupees per unit, right? So you can observe one thing here. To decrease the break even point, to decrease the break even point, to decrease the break even point, one method is to increase the sales price per unit. So by increasing the sales price per unit, you can decrease the break even point. That is one important observation you can get from this question. So this is a solution concerned with respect to this problem. So we'll be looking some more problems in my next video.